Hello, three questions I'd like to answer today. Why I'm never going back to driving a gas car. How do you find out your Tesla charging history at every supercharger you've ever stopped at? That's if you own a Tesla. And is anyone catching up Tesla superchargers? So please stick around. At last year's Fully Charged show in Farnborough, one of the panelists said that the main reason to buy a Tesla is the supercharging network. I don't really agree. I think the car is ahead of all others, but the Tesla supercharging network is great, but it's just not the only reason to buy a Tesla. But if it is so good, why aren't all the other public charging networks trying to catch them up? Maybe they are, I don't know. There's certainly no sign of it when you go out and charge other than a Tesla supercharger. So why is the Tesla supercharger the only network who knows who you are? So when you verse into the charging bay, all you have to do is plug in and nothing else to do. Hello friends, my name's Nigel. Thank you very much for joining me today. Do hope you can like and subscribe, and please leave a comment below. So when you get to the Tesla supercharger in your Tesla, all you have to do is reverse back and plug in. It's as simple as that. But I'm wondering, with all the other public charging networks, why they're so complicated. Some of them you have to go into the app, others you have to leave a deposit. Probably the best is GridServe, where it's contactless. But I'm wondering, why are they so far behind and what's going on? The Tesla Supercharged network was introduced in 2012 as the Tesla Model S entered production, with 6 sites in California, Nevada and Arizona. In 2024, Tesla operates a network of 6,000 supercharged stations with nearly 55,000 connections. There are 1,100 Tesla superchargers in the UK between Inverness, Devon and Cornwall. I mostly charge at home, but when I'm away I go to the Tesla superchargers because they're much cheaper and easier to use than any other public charger. I did plan a trip to the west coast of Scotland where there are not many Tesla superchargers. So I found out about Charge Place Scotland and got myself a card, and they're very cheap to use and many of them are free. If I was somewhere where there was no Charge Place Scotland or Tesla superchargers, my next choice would be GridServe because they are contactless and easier to use than many others. But they used to be quite cheap when I first had my Tesla, or relatively just a few pence more than a supercharger, a Tesla, but now they're in the region of 79p, which is much too expensive, and so I don't use them anymore. But I don't understand why none of the charging networks are introducing a similar software technology to Tesla, where the charger recognises the car. And all you have to do is reverse in and plug in. No cards, nothing else. And then your credit card is billed. It's beyond me why nobody is doing this. I don't understand it. Tesla superchargers have been around for 11 years now. And I imagine the early years, most companies and people thought electric cars will go away. They're only a fad. But they haven't. Now all the other public chargers are a long, long way behind Tesla. Many public charge networks are owned by oil companies and the legacy car makers who are still hoping the electric car thingy fad will go away. I get the feeling that the oil companies investing in public chargers make them as expensive as possible to put people off charging. They don't care if they're unreliable because it will put people off charging. They don't care if they only put in 1 or 2 chargers and they're full up, because it will also put people off charging. Tesla often put in 30 or more charging units, and putting in 1 or 2 is just completely pointless. Some of the legacy car makers own public chargers. Mercedes, BMW, Ford and VW have shareholding in Ionity. But because they make more money from building a gas car and lose money making an electric car, it seems they don't want to encourage anyone buying an EV by making a really good public charging network. Mercedes are planning their own charging network and plan to have 2,000 sites by the year 2027, in 3 years' time, open to all EVs. But that's only a third of Tesla's supercharging sites, and their numbers are going to grow in the next 3 years, which means Tesla's supercharging go further and further ahead of the competition. So the answer to one of my earlier questions, which was, are any of the other public charger networks catching up with Tesla with their technology, where you just drive up to the charger and plug in and the charger knows exactly who you are? Well, the answer is no. Ford, Rivian, General Motors, Volvo, Polestar and more will soon follow and have access to the Tesla supercharging network. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, but in 2018, Elon Musk phoned the boss of Apple asking if he would be interested in buying his company Tesla. Imagine how cheap Tesla would have been to sell to Ford, GM, VW, Mercedes, as it was then only a fraction the value of the big car makers. But hindsight is a wonderful thing. And I'm horrified to think what might have happened to Tesla if it had been sold to one of the big legacy car automakers. I don't think it would be anywhere near the size it is now. Also, as I said in the introduction, do you know how to check your Tesla charging history? Well, you simply open the Tesla app on your phone, tap the profile icon at the top right hand corner, tap account, tap history, and every Tesla charger you've ever been to and the cost is there. Very simple. The third part of my earlier question is, why am I never going back to gas? Bearing in mind I have been driving for 50 years. Well, firstly, the driving experience is so much better than any other car I've ever owned or driven. Someone in the comments of an earlier video said it's so much better. He said, it just makes me feel so good driving a Tesla Model 3. It reminded him of the first time he drove a Ford Cortina GT in his 20s. The myths about expensive insurance, tyre wear are not true. If you're 18, expect a very high insurance, especially if you've had an accident or two. And if you drive like a boy racer, your tyres will wear out much faster. I've had 0 servicing costs in over 2 years. I had a small dent that was repaired by a body shop for exactly the same price as any other car, and they did a great job. My Tesla went up in price the first year of ownership, and I don't plan to sell it for many years. And the depreciation of big luxury gas cars is worse than EVs, but you can always find one that supports your argument if it's taken in isolation. But my number one reason for not going back to gas, I would go back if I could park my car in the garage and while I'm eating, sleeping, doing whatever I want to do at home, when I get to my car in the morning, it's full up with gas. Until I can do that, I'm never going back.
Playing in Valderrama, playing at home, winning the Ryder Cup, it was extremely special.
Thank you very much for getting this far. Thank you so much. I do hope you can like and subscribe, leave a comment below. Please drive safely, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.